Hello and welcome. It's Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button and a bell below if you want to help support this channel, and you will also be notified as to when I content, which I do on a rather ad hoc basis. Coming to you from Ghana country, and as such I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of this land. And as you can tell, I am back in familiar surroundings, and this is my ever increasingly messy library. Someday I'll get around to tidying it up and reorganizing my life. But for the time being, I'm wanting to just dedicate this video to the new moon in Pisces that will be coming up on either the 19th or 20th of February, depending on where you are located in the world. Here in Australia, it will be on the 20th, and it will be at 5:35 p.m. That's Australian Central Standard Time. Check out sites such as timeanddate.com, where you can put in your location to work out the times for you. And it'll be in 1 degrees 22 minutes of Pisces. But before I go on to the lowdown of the video, the moon actually, I just wanted to do a follow through on my latest book on a silver rays, because in an earlier video I did do a shout out to people if you watched the video and left a comment about the moon, that I would gift you a copy. And the person who I thought left the most inspiring copy was Sue Lang. So congratulations, Sue. And I'll just share with you what she wrote. She wrote, "The moon becomes a gateway when reflected in water. To turn and find myself looking up, to see the goddess looking down, smiling at me, is truly magical." And I certainly resonated very well, very much with that. Because just recently, I held the annual You May Have Blessing of the Waters down at Grange Beach. This is an annual rite that I have been hosting 10, 15 years now, probably a bit longer. I don't know when I first started it. Usually it's held around the first full moon of the year, but this year I was out of the country, so we held it the other week. So Sue, congratulations. The book will be sent to you. Okay, let's look at this new moon. As I said, it will be 1 degrees 22 minutes of Pisces, making it one of 5 new moons that are going to be right at the beginning of their astrological sign. I think this is either the 3rd or 4th. I don't think it's the 5th in a row. I haven't actually checked my notes. And this sort of helps most people when they're working with the new moons see them as manifesting moons. It's the beginning of a new cycle. Being at the 1 degree of a new astrological sign, this is certainly is enhancing that. However, there are other things to consider, and this is something that I also sort of lead into in my book. And it's not saying that if you're just using the new moons to manifest and the sort of waning moons to release, that's not a bad idea. But if you're wanting to take your moon sort of magic or your connection with the moon to a deeper level, then there are other aspects when working with the moon to take into consideration. And I'm going to talk about a few of those in this video. Starting off with Pisces, because the new moon in Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, the astrological wheel, so to speak. And not only do we have a new moon at the beginning of a sign in the last astrological sign of the zodiac wheel, we also have a number of planets at the end degrees of their signs. And what this means is sort of like an overarching energy of this new moon that may make it feel more like endings as opposed to utilizing it for straight out manifestation. Something to think about. So when we have a new moon, that's when the sun and the moon are right next to each other, they're conjunct. And this, as I said, usually leads the energy to new beginnings and opportunities to be available because this energy is more supportive. And if you get your natal chart or birth chart done, and there are plenty of free sites where you can get a chart done on the internet, what you need to do is go to see what house Pisces is in. And also, if you have any inner or personal planets, these are Mercury, Venus, Mars, the first ones really, in mutable signs. Mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Also, if you have any fixed signs, such as Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, have any planets in these fixed signs that are 28 to 30 degrees, so right at the end of these fixed signs, then this new moon could very well have a greater impact on you. So when you're wanting to, say, use it for manifesting or planting seeds, you might want to start looking at the house that Pisces falls into, or whatever astrological sign the moon is in falling into, and then look at if you have any right at the beginning or right at the end of these mutable signs. Taking it a step further, for when we're planting the seeds, look at something that maybe you want to manifest in 6 months, i.e. when the moon, or the full moon, I should say, will be in Pisces. Now, this is going to be in about August. So you might want to consider, as opposed to short-term goals, things a little bit longer that you're wanting to bring into fruition. Here in Australia, or the Southern Hemisphere, August is our spring, early spring, so things that you want to bring to fruition. Then, if you're Northern Hemisphere, of course, this will be your autumn, your fall. Pisces itself is the symbol of the two fish, and they usually are in opposing positions, one going left or right. Some of them, ones could be swimming towards the light, one swimming towards the darkness. And this sort of represents the division between fantasy and reality. So there could be a bit of emotional intensity that could in itself lead to heightened psychic or intuitive perception, greater sensitivity, and even a sense of being ungrounded. Now, Pisces is one of these signs that has 2 ruling planets. The more modern one is Neptune, and this celestial body governs creativity and dreams, so there could be an opportunity to explore your imagination and to be more creative. However, Neptune also oversees illusion and escapism. The Neptunian energy can be likened to the energy of the ocean. It's magical, it's mysterious, but it can also be a little bit unnerving and even scary, especially when, say, there's sea fog on the water's edge and that obstructs the horizon. So there's no differentiation between the sea and the sky, adding to this illusion. The more traditional ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. And like Neptune, Jupiter is also a highly spiritual planet, further enhancing Pisces' connection with dreams and empathy and creative abilities. And both these planetary rulers tend to work in tandem, bringing through optimism, hope, and fantasy when it comes to things Pisces or Piscean. there is an overriding influence of this new moon in that both the sun and moon, who are conjunct together, are also conjunct with Saturn. Saturn just happens to be about 28 degrees of Aquarius, so it's not quite in Pisces. But regardless of this fact, Saturn's influence can make this moon feel a little bit more serious rather than other Neptune-infused moons. And I suppose there's a positive aspect to it because it was bringing through the possibility of realization of any dreamy Neptune ideas that we may be experiencing. Saturn is not the only planet that's at its end of its astrological sign. We have Pluto, which is 29 degrees of Capricorn, and it will be moving into Aquarius on the 23rd of March. So take note of where you are projecting, what you are not willing to own yourself onto others. Like power games, this is what Pluto does. It's like, okay, bring into our awareness things that we're not owning, things that we're actually projecting onto others. Also, we have Venus at 29 degrees of Pisces, and she'll actually be moving into Aries within a few moments after the new moon. So all these planets, so we've got Pluto, Saturn, and Venus are ending their cycles, moving into the next sign. So therefore, there seems to be this sort of focus on endings, ending of cycles, things that need to be brought to conclusion or to be released completely before we move into the new cycle. And just a note about Venus, as she moves into Aries, she'll bring through this energy of almost instant gratification with her. She wants this and she wants this now sort of attitude, along with this sort of knowing what she wants and then going after it. And this in turn can also increase a degree of emotional honesty as we tap into Aries' boldness and aliveness with this sort of Venetian open heart. And in doing so, it is truly a time to get real with ourselves and actually own our emotions. It in itself can be scary for some people. So as I've mentioned, there are a number of cycles coming to an end once and for all. And this can also affect how we focus on the energy. So if you're doing journaling, you might decide or just take some time out and consider whether you're feeling compelled to finish up uncompleted projects and tasks. And if so, be aware that this could actually heighten emotions as you try and get things completed before imposing deadlines occur. It may also be the time to consider what's actually been dragging on in your life, no longer is in alignment with you. What projects or ideas or tasks you've been procrastinating about. You may already be feeling the pull to complete these or to be satisfied with whatever stage they're at, sort of accepting this imperfect nature of things. We keep living in a world where we strive for perfection, but nature has this perfection in the imperfect. So once we sort of tap back into that imperfection and allow ourselves to be imperfect, and that's okay to be imperfect, and then project that or accept that in other people, we can then lessen our stress, our anxiety, and also our disappointment and anger and other emotions when things do not work out the way that we perceive them to be. And when it comes to these tasks that we're procrastinating about, if we're still dragging our heels, you might even have to consider letting them go or completely releasing them. Clearly, they're not important to us. So again, reassessing what is our desire, our needs, and letting go. before we can manifest something else with the new moon. So I hope that has been of interest to you. Please make some comments below if you find this inspiring. And failing that, I see you next time. So, blessings.